What is going on YouTube and Discord? Welcome to the Strats Weekly for the week of 30 November. I hope all of you Americans are full of turkey and don't have too much turkey left over. Do we have any leftover, Precious? Oh, she's hollering at somebody in the other room. I don't know if we have any leftover turkey. How y'all doing today? Super. My name is Auth. Welcome to the Strats Weekly, where we talk about games and technology and whatever anybody in Discord wants to talk about for an hour.
Dude, the bandana look is
The bandana.
Oh yeah. Oh, I had a bandana on last week too. Oh, this is my my Deadpool bandana.
I like it. Sweet.
Yeah, I'm in like super lazy. Like usually I have a Strats t-shirt on. I didn't even want to like get unwrapped from my blanket to go get a new t-shirt.
With that on, you look like a cross between Bon Iver and Post Malone. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Okay. I'll take it. I've been called sillier things. Zarek is still convinced I look like JonTron. Although not with the bandana
There's a JonTron and Post Malone mix.
I think the Post Malone is just because like this is all like uneven and scruffy and such. That's the big.
That's also the Bon Iver part.
Mm-hmm. How's everybody going? How was your week? Braden, how was your week? You didn't sleep late this time.
No, I got a lot of shit going on recently. I like totaled my car, and I've been car shopping, and I'm condo shopping, and
shopping for all the expensive things all at once.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been adulting so hard.
Yeah. So I looked at some nicer stuff, and I've decided on a potato for a car. I'm like, I feel like any extra money I have should really just go into a condo.
Or a computer.
But the condo stays put, and the car goes places.
Yeah, but the condo, I mean, unless his commute is just bananas, he'll spend more time in the condo than the car.
I know. I was just being silly.
Yeah, I saw the pictures you posted. It is crazy how little it takes to total a car these days.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm not saying it didn't look bad. Like, it looked bad. Like, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad car technology has advanced leaps and bounds from like yesteryear, and things are like way safer. But like, on the whole, I've seen cars look way worse than that and not be totaled. Like, just, subjectively from the outside looking at it. But I guess it was like the whole like that whole quarter panel was just like,
yeah, it was
everything behind it.
Just the one corner, but it just like annihilated that one corner, because it was basically like the two front corners of our cars hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's possible that it like bent the frame.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
There was some serious damage in there, because I hit them and then bounced off, and I had lost brakes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's no bueno.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so I had to avoid oncoming traffic and then handbrake.
Whoa.
As someone who has had to handbrake before when the brakes did not work,
Demon Possum.
it does not. Oh, let's not even talk about Demon Possum. But another time back in high school, handbrake is insufficient to stop a car at any kind of miles per hour or kilometers per hour.
I was going really slow. Like, by the time I like hit their car and bounced, I was rolling at like 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. So like 10 miles an hour.
That's good.
It was pretty slow.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, oh crap, this car will not stop. I'm headed for a phone pole.
Yikes, dude.
That is no bueno.
I'm glad you got out of it unscathed.
What kind of potato did you end up buying?
I have not bought a potato yet.
I thought you had settled on one.
No, he just decided it would be a potato.
No, I decided it would be a potato. I was like looking at like plug-in hybrids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then those are like the cheapest one you want to get. It's probably like $30,000. So
is that like 30 US or 30?
30
30 funny money.
30
loony. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to doing any more car shopping ever again. I hate car shopping.
Well,
he says as his car is slowly dying.
I did it just last December.
Right? Ooh.
So The car wasn't even a year old. And the plug-in like hybrid I was looking at was at the same dealership. So I went in and I'm like, so about that car you sold me like 11 months ago.
Wasn't there
I
any
need a new one.
like insurance and warranty and whatever that would like help you pay for this new car so it's not the potatoiest of potatoes?
Well, like I was leasing my old car, right? So all the insurance money went to paying off the remainder of the lease
Oh, that's
for that car,
suck.
which is fine because then I'm in the same situation I was before, right? Prior to getting it.
Zarek made a good point in the chat. He said, if you're trying to pick up a chick, though, you should definitely make sure you have a good condo to bring them back to.
Mm-hmm.
That should be primary concern in terms of like weighing car versus.
I don't know
versus
if your
condo.
car looks hella shady, she ain't getting in it.
That's true. That is also true. There's a balance there. You're gonna have to strike. So Taco, as I think the only person in here who's played any of Shadowlands, or as it seems to be right now, Q Simulator for Area 52.
Q online. Yeah.
Yeah, how's it been?
So I'm playing it right now.
Oh, you're actually in.
It's-
Those are some legit cues, man.
No, so day one was real fun. There was a lot of lagging and a lot of staring at a blank. It was the real Shadowlands because the character screen was black.
There were so many shadows you
And,
couldn't even move.
Yeah, I leveled up my druid to 60, and then I got sick of 3-hour 5,500 queues, and I went to my old server, leveled up a warrior and druid to 60, and it's been fun.
Man, the leveling is that fast. I didn't think it would still be that fast
It's
after like.
well, so you can do the storyline, and then once you do the storyline on one character, and then get to like the intro quest of your covenant on account wide, you can go to a different server. You can stay on your same server. You get the option once you finish the Maw, like the expansion intro scenario kind of thing.
Is that just all game noise we're hearing from Taco here?
Yeah, it might be the kids in the back too.
No, it's game noise.
But is it game noise? Really?
It's not that bad.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's it's weird. Oh, you know what? I can't even hear the noise, so it must be coming through my mic for some reason. But yeah, so once you get through the intro quest, you can pick to either do the storyline or to level up doing like rares, zone completions, world quests, dungeons, stuff like that. So they give you like an option to do one or the other. I've done both. Blessings, but the expansion's pretty good. It's a lot different than the other ones because they throw at launch. They just had like 5 or 6 systems, like ready. You know what I mean? It's like if BFA at launch they did Azurite and Essences and
Really?
stuff. So it's a lot of confusion, but it's a lot of like content.
That's interesting to me because I mean I have done my updates. I haven't played yet. I'm probably going to dip into it maybe this week, more likely next week. I might just wait till final server before I dip my toes in, because if I get sucked back in like I have in the past, I'd really like finals to be behind me first. But the I was reading some of the reviews just to see like what people were thinking, and I legitimately read a negative review, user review, so grain of salt or salt lick in this instance, and he said something like, this is way worse than previous expansions. There's no new systems. There's no this, that, and the other, and just like went on this tirade for like a page. It was ridiculous about all the things he thought was just wrong, and it's just like, okay, but Taco just said there's like 5 new systems that they just like drop in your lap immediately. So
I don't know about 5, but so like the Maw itself is its own system because it's like a zone, but it also has like upgrades you can buy, and it has its own currency, and it has an overall system where the more stuff you do in the maw, the more the jailer, the big bad guy, watches you. So at different tiers, he sends out assassins or he sends out bombardments. And then you have the Covenants, which is a whole system of its own. You have the Adventure Table, which is just another mission table.
Right.
You have Torghast, which is like a lazy, casual roguelike, but not.
So it's just interesting because like somebody like for the people to be that, insistent that like it was doo doo. Like I mean I haven't played it and I don't have a lot of experience in WoW to begin with. Like I've only played like BFA is like my first WoW experience, so I don't have a lot to gauge it off of. So I was just curious what you had thought because it seems like the critical reviews on Metacritic it's sitting at like 84 or 88, like mid 80s.
Yeah.
And like the user reviews, it's like 6 and change, like low 6. And there's a lot of people that are very angry about something. I don't know what.
Yeah, there's
queue.
people that are angry.
Yeah, the
people are
queue.
angry about the queues. So the biggest queues are like
QQ.
Area 52 and Illidan,
Yeah.
which are the two biggest Horde servers in
Right.
US. So it kind of makes sense. The two biggest Alliance servers don't have any queue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Curious.
Oh, I liked Senish's really sarcastic comment. He was like, "Can we possibly change to a server that has longer queues?"
I mean, technically, I think they're offering free server transfers right now. So
Yeah, but I think that the server that we're on is one of the ones with the longest queues.
well, no, but I was just saying in terms of just like quality of life.
Yeah.
In Potentia,
Yeah.
we could try to relocate everybody, but that'd be a pretty big
Undertaking.
relocate.
I moved
No,
like,
thank you. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm not super into it
I
either.
moved like 6 of my tunes to Era 52 because I was playing, and now I'm like can't even play the game.
And by the time people come back, the queues will be gone.
Yeah, it's probably a short-term
honest.
problem. That's kind of what I expected.
This
to be,
happened
yeah.
in BFA too.
Just like the
Zul'jin
graphics
was
card
like the
shortages.
new player.
I think people forget how many people come back to WoW every expansion. Like when you're mid or end of expansion, population is significantly lower than at expansion release.
The best analogy I found is when people come back to, well, not really an analogy, maybe it is, I don't know. When people come back to WoW and on launch specifically, it's like a legal DDoS.
Yeah, I mean it's true though.
That's literally what it is.
I can't imagine what their back end guys are dealing with. Like that authentication server
And
is
they
probably
get-
getting slammed.
And they're also getting attacked by people that hate WoW.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, script kiddies will DDoS anybody just because they can, like, for no
Wanna
rhyme or
blame the
reason.
weebs of Final Fantasy?
What?
No, it's probably.
It's at this point, it's just people who are malicious for the sake of being malicious. I feel
I was
like.
gonna say the people
Yeah,
that play
yeah.
Final Fantasy Online are too busy memorizing the super complex dungeons that they have to do and doing their dungeon homework.
That's right. You better
They
watch
aren't gonna
this
be-
multi-hour guide on how to do this. and
Yeah,
if you
that's
haven't
why
and
I
you don't
stopped
know-
playing that one.
I bought Shadowbringers, so I have everything up to it with my our Halloween event, and Racino accidentally sent me more than I actually won.
Ooh.
So I bought Shadowbringers because it was on sale. I was expecting it to be on sale with Steam's current, autumn sale thing.
Mhm. Not
And
Black
it was
Friday.
like It was like $15 or some shit. So I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna grab it. Maybe in a couple months when WoW's in like a content drought, I'll check it out because I've heard, it's kind of like right now it's like WoW and Final Fantasy. Those are the big two, and then after that's Guild Wars 2 and ESO.
Yeah, and Guild Wars 2, man, I'm still kind of tentatively watching
New expansion,
the Canthan expansion. Oh, it's my favorite setting.
Someday,
I
who knows?
It'll be sometime next year probably.
ArenaNet it's like every 6 months ArenaNet has layoffs.
I
Really
mean,
weird. I
the-
like
Yeah,
their team
ArenaNet.
though.
ArenaNet is notorious for being very similar to Blizzard in that like things come out when they come out. Like they were real strict with their
Yeah.
release schedule for Guild Wars 1, like that was their model. But with Guild Wars 2, it's definitely been a we'll release it when it's ready type thing.
They did. I mean, they are one of the studios that did a great release during the work from home earlier this year, and obviously now, but are still going.
Yeah. As long as they don't
Yeah,
bring
that's
back
me.
ritualists in
I
Guild
play
Wars
WoW.
2.
Oh yeah.
Zarek, have you been able to play at all around your home project, or are you just playing with drywall all day every day?
I tried playing a couple nights, but the queues were like 80 minutes. So.
You just gotta
Woof.
queue up, like, when you're like, you know what, I got about 2 hours of drywalling left in me. Then you queue up, then you go back to drywalling.
Smart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with those
Multitask.
with those free queue or those free transfers.
Mm-hmm.
First, you got to get onto the server. First, you got to get to your character.
Oh, so you still have to get there.
So you still have to be in a queue.
Woof. Nah. I'll wait till
I
things
think you
settle
can
down.
do it
a bit.
online, but the like the in game is better convenience. Well, obviously not with a queue.
But not anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Even I don't care how convoluted the system is. I'm pretty sure I could do it through the browser faster.
Yeah, I like my recommendation is to wait a couple weeks. The first reset that matters is tomorrow, and then in a week from tomorrow, Castle Nathria, the first raid comes out. Just like a vampire themed. It's actually pretty. It's looking pretty cool. Maybe wait a couple weeks after that. It'll be in a good spot. You can do whatever you want. You don't
Yeah.
have to really worry about gearing. Need to gear now, because that's what I'm in now. It's like, oh, Fury's awful. Great, let me gear up.
Man. Poor WoW. Braden,
Yeah.
Yo,
I have a question for you.
yes.
What did you think, or did you look at the numbers that are finally like out for Apple's M1 chip?
I haven't really looked, just because I have no intention of buying an Apple. So eventually someone will present me with those numbers. But
It's neato.
I like that they're moving away from just everybody using Intel.
Well, and
Like I like that there's diversity. You have NVIDIA trying to make a play, like they're trying to buy ARM.
hmm Well, and ARM specifically, that's where. So I looked into it a little bit. I didn't do a deep dive because again, I'm same as you. I have no intention of buying anything that's going to run on an M1 at this point. But just out of curiosity to see where things were, it is smashing Intel's ARM rigs. Like even running
Smashing.
Even running Windows applications. Even running Windows applications through Rosetta 2, I think is what it's called, like the newer version of, because they're not doing Boot Camp anymore now. I think it's called Rosetta, but like the Windows applications through Rosetta 2, which causes some loss in performance because it's having to like think harder.
Yeah.
It's still just like crushing all of the Intel systems, even like the stuff they released last year. Like last year's side by sides are for the most part losing to the new Apple silicone.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Intel's just generally been struggling.
Yeah, and it's funny though. Like Apple's doing this with no hyperthreading. Like they're just doing it with just like physical logic cores only.
I wonder how much of a benefit there is to hyper-threading in like smaller, lower power chips like that.
I don't know. I mean, considering how everything is like packed onto the die, basically, I don't know if there'd be a significant benefit or not. I've heard it postulated that they would just be like looking real good if it had it, but even without it, even in like single core performance or single thread loads, they're doing like great.
But I wonder what the trade-off at that point is, because the big thing is, at that point, there's a lot more performance to heat compromises going on relative to desktop
Yeah.
stuff where it's like price to performance.
Mhm.
So it's probably cheaper to implement hyper-threading than add additional cores. But I wonder if, like, if they're trying to do a really low power thing, if hyper-threading is worth it at all.
You know, that makes me wonder now because I watched a teardown video, and there is a ton of empty space inside those small. I forget which one it's called. It's a little like desk-looking one that looks kind of like a router almost. It's like the big Apple Square. Like the
Yeah.
actual logic board is only maybe a third of the interior case volume. There's just like a ton of empty space, and I wonder if all of that extra space is part of what they're trying to like heat mitigate, basically. I don't know. I wonder if that's why it's like that because there's just tons of room in there, unless they were just trying to keep the same, molds and form factor they'd already made all prettified.
That's actually equally as likely. But there's also something to be said for having more air volume, because that's the problem what you get with
Like
a
small
lot
form
of like, the
factor.
thinning lights and stuff,
Mhm.
is that there's only so much air volume for it to heat. So you need to move air quickly through the small spaces, and then you get a ton of noise.
Yep. Because you get the little dust busters in there trying to move a ton of air with tiny little blades.
You have tiny little blades, and then the flow of air is faster because it's got to be a similar volume but in a smaller amount of space.
Mm-hmm. So aside from just like fan noise, you also have like legitimate wind noise.
Yeah.
Silly. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and it like the news was finally out. It was no longer just press release, which everybody was kind of like, they're like, it's going to be the fastest CPU in the world, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that. And then they quickly amended to something like the fastest onboard.
Yeah,
CPU or
whatever
something.
limitations we need to add to make it the fastest.
Yeah, they made some, and I know they're also I think they're claiming fastest onboard graphics as well. Like, well, congratulations, fastest onboard graphics. But yeah, I was just curious if you had read anything about it. I didn't think anybody else here
AMD
would have.
probably doesn't count their APU as quote unquote onboard graphics. It's more like additional graphics on a chip.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look to see what they. I mean, I don't like reading Apple's marketing wank because it's intense.
Yeah.
So I didn't dig that deep into it. I just know that's one of the things that's in there, one of their little bullet points, so to speak.
Oh, speaking of marketing wank.
Oh yeah, you got a good marketing wank.
Allow me to read you. I was looking at condos and I started reading this one. Okay, yes, here it is. This one description, and it's like, it's an okay place at best. Step into your stunning new home, gleaming with brand new contemporary features and fine finishes, soaring 9-foot ceilings.
Oh, so
Like,
lofty.
dear Lord.
9 foot. Oh my goodness.
I was joking with my friend because the place he owns was built in an old factory. It's like a loft and has 18-foot ceilings. I'm like, if those are soaring ceilings, I'm like, what does the description for your place look like? Blast off into space without leaving the comfort of your home.
I think they call them atmospheric ceilings.
Atmospheric. Oh, dude, if those are soaring the ceilings, then your friend's got a freaking skybox in his room.
Yeah, I was looking. I'm just reading through. There's soaring 9-foot ceilings. I'm like, you know what? The place is good. Like, it looks nice. It's a reasonable value. But I almost just want to be like, can I buy this? But can you use a different real estate agent, please?
Yeah,
This is
that sounds
so
like.
cringy.
You know what? It's probably a creative writer who's got a side
Yeah.
hustle. That's my suspicion.
Honestly, if they're a creative writer, they're a pretty bad creative writer.
Well, that would be why they have a side hustle, isn't it?
Yeah. Soaring 9-foot ceilings, spacious, modern, open concept interiors, and large balconies combine to inspire you with an expansive sense of space and place.
I remember
That is-
talking about something like that had a description like that, and I got made fun of incessantly by Lucino and Precious.
Such as like, why would you like? I don't need my home to be inspiring. I need it to be like cozy and safe and welcoming. You know, like, those are the words you should be using. Inspiring. That's like, I want office space that's inspiring.
Yeah.
I don't want
Although
a
I
welcoming
do
house.
like
I want people to be welcome in my house.
the included underground parking space with
I did not
electric
make
charging.
fun of you.
Wait, include an underground parking space with what?
With electric charging.
Ooh.
Ooh, see,
That's
now
fancy.
that's-
Because I
Joe,
do
does you
eventually
wanna
want
get a
to
plug-in
I do
hybrid?
eventually want to get an electric car.
I want to get an electric car too,
But for now,
they're
I'm still
expensive.
a half decent
You
apartment.
gotta make
Everything
a,
is condos are so stupid expensive here. I'm kidding you
you
not.
get a
Like
condo. And
townhouses, everything is stupid expensive here. All real estate has
just
become
instead of a
stupid.
potato, get a big van you can sleep in.
I'm considering it because to get a condo that's more than like 900 square feet, you're looking at like $500,000.
Phew.
It's retarded.
That's
Well-
getting into some silly price points. That's like, I wonder what it would be like on the north end of Houston where Precious and I live. You can get like a 2-bedroom apartment with like, I want to say one that we were looking at one point was like 1,400 square feet. It was like, I want to say 1,200 a month, something like that. It was, I mean, you can't like, it would be a rental situation. It wouldn't be a buy, but
Yeah.
like nowhere near $500,000. That's
The
for
funniest
sure.
part was I was talking to a friend the other day who lives in Guelph, which is by here, and her and her significant other were looking to buy a place, and then he got offered a job that was a slight promotion in New Brunswick, which is like, you know, a nowhere Canada, and that meant she'd have to give up her job. But they started looking at home prices, and she's like, okay, so a house here is like $800,000. A house there is $150,000. She's like, I think I can give up my job, like, to go move there.
Now, it's crazy how extreme cost of living can vary from like within a country or a state. You know,
Although to be fair, she does have to now go live in New Brunswick. So
Yeah, like you don't even want to know what things cost down in the Galleria area.
oh, I don't. I super don't. I don't know. We've got some buddies that live in like downtown Houston. And like firstly, I hate driving in downtown Houston. It's miserable. Houston drivers are the worst. Like they're horrid. I've had too many people come visit and echo those same thoughts, but like I would never want to
Worse than
live in
Florida
downtown
drivers?
Houston. Yes. Yep.
damn.
I would say yes.
What did he say?
He said worse than Florida drivers.
Oh, yes.
I would say yes. Part of it.
I used to joke that they must sell cars in Texas without turn signals because nobody ever uses them.
I mean, there's a lot of places that do that, but I think part of it also you have to understand is our infrastructure. I don't know the current situation, but I know back in like the early tens, Houston was expanding way faster than our infrastructure was prepared for, and we were something like 10 or 15 years behind in terms of how much road infrastructure we needed for our population.
Ugh.
Yeah, and we're still incredibly behind because no construction project happens quickly in this area for some reason.
Well, yeah, and then of course hurricane season hits and downtown floods and half the roads are underwater because of all the underpasses.
Yeah, and every time we have something nasty come through, then you got to fix everything that's broke before you can keep working on the new stuff. Yeah, it's good times.
Gotta wait for all the water to drain out. Somebody's smart idea to pave over wetlands.
Brilliant.
Say, well, in defense of the Florida driver, at least here in Orlando, the bad drivers are the tourists and the snowbirds.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be it. I was in when I experienced the really bad drivers. I was in like Daytona.
Yeah, you probably experience a lot of snowbirds in. What time of the year was it?
I don't recall.
I was gonna say,
Quite a few
I've
back. I
noticed that
remember
every
there was like
driver
a
that
bunch
I've
of
seen are out of state plates.
well, so here's an interesting thought for consideration on that. This was something that a buddy of mine, when I was in the army, like brought up to me, because army towns are just terrible for driving. And what he said is, what's happening is there are different regions of the country, and I assume different countries have the same kind of situation. There's different driving tendencies, and so what you get with somewhere that has a lot of tourists, or with the military, if you have a lot of people who grew up somewhere else
Or
and
a
they've been
college
stationed
town.
here, or college town, yeah, you have people with all these different driving tendencies and habits being smushed together in one,
Everybody
urban area.
expects everybody else to drive the same way as they do, and they don't.
Yeah, so you have all these different expectations and subtle tendencies that don't always mesh well at all with everyone else's tendencies. So you get
It
like
is disaster.
really, yeah,
Like,
you get
the
disaster.
biggest things you'll see here is the old people that will be like on the right lane on a 3-lane road, and they cross all the way left to the turn lane across 3 lanes of traffic with
We
like
get that.
within 20 feet off the
Yeah.
light.
We get a lot of the
With,
opposite of that. We
Well,
get
and
people
then you
ripping like
have the
10 over
tourists
the speed
that-
limit and going from the
Yeah.
far left to the far right to exit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
you-
we get
along the same lines, yeah.
yeah.
And then you have the tourists, which of course they don't know where they are. They rented a car or something, or drove from
We're
out of
looking at their
town.
naps, half on the naps
Mm.
and half on the road.
Yeah, and they'll be swerving up the road, looking at their GPS, and going super slow because they don't want to miss their turn. And that means they're going 10 on the limit. People having to go around them. That's the worst things that I've seen here.
I would prefer, and I am known to grump at cars as I'm driving. I'd prefer if everybody would go at least the speed limit. Just go the speed limit. But if you're gonna go slow, just stay to the right. If you're gonna be driving slow, just be on the right. I'm okay with it as long as you
If I
out of my
get
way.
in the far left lane and I drive 105 or whatever the equivalent is in, the speed limit is in miles per hour, I can just sit there and I never have to change lanes because no one's ever going slower in front of me. I'm pretty sure that's what you always have, those people that are just sitting in the lane, like going barely faster than the speed limit on the highway.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have people. It'll be a 5-lane highway, and in Texas, left is for passing. So basically, it works like if it's a 2-lane road, the left lane is supposed to be for passing only.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to ever be in the left lane unless you're passing somebody, or about to come up to your turn. You should generally only be in the
Not
right-hand
always,
lane.
but there will be signs when that's supposed to be the case.
No, that's actually the law. Period. Like it's not just there's signs up because they're trying to remind people, but that's actually the law here.
No, I've seen signs that were just left lane for passing only this stretch or whatever, and then there'd be like an end sign for that.
I would have to go double check, but I'm about 99% confident that it's. But either way, you'll have people going. So we'll have like a 5-lane stretch of highway, and they won't be in the left lane, but they'll be like one inside from the left lane, and they'll be going like 10 under. And it's like, dude, just move your butt all the way to the right. Just scooch on over.
They don't want to be there because all of the people merging in might hit them, and oh no, the end of the world.
Or they might have to tap their brakes to like let somebody in.
Yeah, too stressful, cannot handle.
Yeah, because we get the trucks. The trucks will generally stay in the middle lane, or like middle or middle right. Like that's generally where all the trucks go. And we get a lot of truck traffic down here.
My favorite is when you get the trucks all spaced out, and then you get like the 2 drivers going 50 over the speed limit, cutting around everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a big highway here, the 401. I'm pretty sure it's the busiest highway in North America, if not the world, because basically all trucks that are going through Canada to deliver stuff go along the 401.
Oh wow.
So there's like I'm going to say there's like 5 transport trucks to every, or maybe like 2 or 3 transport trucks to every one car. Like there are so many transport trucks. And then you always have, it's a 3-lane highway, but you always have the transport trucks like pulling out to try and, one transport truck is going 103 kilometers an hour, and the guy behind him's going 104 kilometers an hour. So he pulls out to pass him for the next like 20 minutes.
Dude, that is I-45 between Houston and Dallas in a nutshell. I-45, there's multiple stretches of it that are only 2 lanes each direction, and the truckers will absolutely do that on I-45, north and south. Doesn't matter which way you're going. And it will be the same thing. They'll each be on their cruise control, and nobody wants to change their cruise control by 1 mile an hour either direction. So they'll sit there and do the slowest, most lethargic pass you've ever seen, and get a pile of cars because I won't say everybody, the overwhelming majority of Texas drivers will go 5 to 10 over the speed limit. Just period. End of discussion. Especially out on the interstates between cities, like. The speed limit is 75 miles an hour usually out there. It's not uncommon to see people ripping between 80 and 85.
Oh yeah,
you get like 2 trucks backed up, and they're both going like 65 or 70. Like they're like a notch under the speed limit, and then they're having that 1 mile an hour, pass battle.
Our speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour. But honestly, most traffic is normally moving at like 120.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same down here. There was a time, so the speed limits in the Houston area are generally around 65 miles an hour on the highways. There was a period, it used to be 70. And then back when Precious and I were both in high school still, there was this whole thing where like, oh, we gotta save, the environment. We gotta cut down on smog in Houston because
driving faster creates more smog, so we have to lower all the speed limits.
Yeah, so
this was not true.
Yeah, their solution was to notch all the speed limits down to 55, and literally no one was having it. Everybody was just driving 70. The police weren't pulling people over. It was so bad the state troopers had to come in and enforce because
they had to call in the outside help.
and Harris County PD weren't pulling people over because you can't, like, everybody's going that fast, and they don't, the PD doesn't want us driving 55 either. Turns out they were completely wrong, and it actually made pollution way worse.
Yep.
So they notched them all back up to 65. But like if you looked at the flow of traffic and you never actually saw the signs for like the 2 years that it was 55, 2 or 3 years it was lowered, you'd never know the difference because nobody obeyed it. It looked exactly the same. Although if you did get pulled over, I can't imagine, because at 20 or more miles an hour over the speed limit, you get like a heckin' fine. That's like, we can just tell you to park your car, you're going to jail. Fine. So you'd have people driving the 5 to 10 miles an hour over the old speed limit. So there'd be people going like 80 and a 55 or faster potentially. I can't imagine what those tickets might have been if they actually got pulled over for it.
I'm sure some did.
Probably did.
Yeah, some of them can be massive. It blows my mind when I'm driving along the highway and I see someone going like 150 kilometers an hour. What is that in MEP? 150 divided by 1.6. Yeah, so that's 93.
Yeah,
You're like whipping down the highway at because it depends on how long my trip is. Recently, I've kind of taken to just like chilling and going slow on the right-hand side and not worrying. But if it's like a longer trip and I want to shorten it, like I'll probably go like 120 or something, and you just see people come up and they'll just wail by you, and they're going like 95, 100 miles an hour. It's wild.
Yeah,
that happens.
We see that. It sucks.
It's crazy, and like my thing is like a great point that I had brought up to me one time is like, okay, if you have a 20-minute commute and you leave the house 10 minutes late, if your average speed is 60 miles an hour, then you have to drive 120 miles an hour to get there on time. So there's no sense in speeding. Just drive the speed limit or thereabouts, because you're not going to make it. It's just
Yep.
not possible. So don't do anything rash and drive like an asshole only to still be late.
Yep.
I wish more people would,
Realize
put that in their
Well,
brains.
I talked to my parents. It's like an hour drive, and I'm like, okay, like because I'm never gonna like go crazy. So it's like, okay, if I go 110 instead of like 125, how much faster am I gonna get there? And it's like 5 minutes. It's like, do I really care?
Yeah, is it,
Do I really
is
want to go
it
through
actually
that stretch?
worth?
It gets frustrating when you're trying to drive faster and you have slow people in front of you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I used to do a fairly long drive home when I was stationed in Oklahoma. It's about speed limit. It was about 7.5 hours, depending on the route I took and traffic that day. Could be shorter or longer. And I realized after like one or two trips that it just like wasn't worth trying to drive faster, because so many of those roads, I'm gonna catch a truck. He's gonna be going
I
under
always
the speed
just
limit.
estimated that trip to 8 hours. And I took it many, many times when we were very first married, when I was preparing for that wedding ceremony, remember?
Yeah, I feel like it took me 7.5 most times. Like that's like kind of the average.
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember that I always told people it was about 8 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe you're rounding down and I'm rounding up, and it was somewhere in between.
I mean, it's on one particularly bad day with construction on 45 still and a wreck in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I forget which route I took that day, but there was a wreck that had me like basically stopped. It took me 9.5 hours to make the drive.
Oof.
It was awful. I almost ran out of gas on 45.
we need to change the slogan
It
for
is.
Strats Weekly from gaming and tech to gaming, tech, and traffic.
No, I know every week I say we're going to talk about gaming and tech and whatever anybody else in Discord wants to talk about, because
But
we
what
always
everybody's been up to is always part of the...
we always
part
get
of
off
the
track
chat.
too. I mean, I had other stuff to talk about in case we didn't have anything anybody wanted to talk about. Just in
Well,
case.
what else did you have to talk about?
Did you hear that Google's DeepMind team has a algorithm now, or an AI for protein folding?
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's hype. It's supposedly... So, for those not in the know about protein folding, basically, there's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions or billions of different protein potential scattered around, not just in the human body, but just in the world in general. And protein folding is very intricate and complicated, and computers historically have not been great at it. In fact, they've been so not great. This has been around for quite some time. It's a game, effectively, where you can fold proteins, and this information, as people, find solutions, this is actually, kept track of and, contributes to scientific research. There's actually, they talk about, the benefits of it, and there's been a whole bunch of publications based on, results coming out of this game, where people are, basically putting their brain power to use, because for the last like 50 plus years, that's how protein folding has been done. It's been done, by humans, because computers are not super great at it, and the systems that were used, as I understand it anyhow, or like millions of dollars, and were still not fast. You're talking about like a year plus sometimes for solving some of this protein folding, because it's extremely complicated in three-dimensional space stuff, and if it's even slightly wrong, then it's it's problems. But apparently, the DeepMind team has a thing now that can do protein folding in like a couple of days, which is insane. This is, if it works as it's expected to work, this is something that was not expected to come about for like decades still. We, like, doctors and computer scientists had postulated that this was just not in the cards for a computer to handle and solve these really, really complicated algorithms for another couple decades, and we maybe have that solution now. Like
That's wild.
that the
So does it require their supercomputer to do, or has their supercomputer generated an algorithm that can then be used by other hardware?
As I understand it, it requires their supercomputer to use. I don't think it's something that just any old computer can run at this point. However, if you've got, if you've got the system working, you can potentially work on getting it, exported to something else, or, working on other supercomputers. I don't really know I didn't do like a real deep. I mean, I think they only announced it today. Like I saw it earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to like really dig in super deep to see what all the implications are. I just thought it was super super cool, and then it reminded me that like, oh yeah, I was like, wait, wasn't there a game that like we could play back in the day? Like I say back in the day, like
I wonder if
couple
that's
years
the end of folding at home.
I potentially at some point, but the other thing is like, okay, so let's say it's true and it totally works, and they can knock out, on a 2 to 3 day average, they can do a protein. Okay, well there are thousands of proteins just in the human body. So even if you're knocking out one every couple of days, you're only going to knock out what, 100 to 150 in a year. Like there's still a great need until the system is further expanded upon. There's still a ton of potential for Fold at Home and stuff like Fold It, the gamification that they've been using.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it could be the beginning of the end.
I also wonder if cryptocurrency mining kills folding at home.
I don't know. I remember before even Folding at Home, I had a friend who used to always do the SETI at home.
Yeah.
Search for extraterrestrial intelligence, because they used to have a thing where you could, let your system help out, and that was back in like the dial-up days, even, and like
Dial-up days.
bad DSL and such. Like, I can't imagine a whole lot of help was made there, but I don't know how many people actually used to do that.
Yeah.
Taco, how's WoW going? Still good?
Running my first heroic.
Ooh, fancy.
Hey.
Man, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, almost 10 o'clock Bradom's time.
Yeah.
That's almost it. Anybody else have anything they want to chat about before we go?
No.
Yeah, nothing? Man. Well, I guess that's going to do it then for this week's Strats Weekly. It was fun. Shout out to everybody who showed up. YouTube chat and such. We'll catch you next week.